Guilt. Ah. Ah, yes. The gift that keeps on giving. Guilt is so important. And those of you who do counseling or spiritual practice or psychotherapy see just how destructive this emotion is and how poorly understood it is. So, first question that comes up to explore and work with and release ourselves from guilt is to get a sense of what it is. So what is guilt? Well, I want to suggest that, and what's the difference between guilt and regret? Okay, because regret can be healthy. Guilt can be very destructive. Well, I want to suggest that guilt is regret plus self-attack. Okay? Guilt is not only I made a mistake, but I made a mistake and I'm bad, and I should suffer. Well, let me tell you something. One of the rules of the mind, if you believe you should suffer, you will. You know? The mind creates what it thinks it needs. And if it thinks it needs guilt, and thereby to suffer, it will. So guilt is very, and you know, we could spend a lot of time on this, but bottom line is I want to suggest a couple of things. One is that guilt can be very destructive. And ordinary people, let's say ordinary neurotics, like us, ordinary people make mistakes, believe they should feel guilty, and repeat the mistakes. Okay? Wise people make mistakes, correct the situation, learn from it, and let go. Okay? Now, I used to believe, a long time ago, that wise, mature people never screwed up. Then I met a few. I found they're all human. Now, literally, I spent some time going around some of the world looking for some of very amazing people and being graced to spend some time with them. They all turned out to be human. Okay? So now I believe that everyone screws up, wise people clean up. Okay? So, now here's where it gets really interesting and very rarely understood. What are the origins of guilt? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we create so much suffering from guilt? Well, I want to suggest that if you look very deeply, or if you explore with people in therapy or counseling, you'll find something really remarkable. You will find that guilt stems from a deep commitment to ethics, improperly understood. Guilt comes from a lack of self-trust. We believe that without guilt, we couldn't be trusted to do what is right. So we are willing to, so we make ourselves guilty and suffer in order to ensure we do the right thing. Now this becomes obviously a conditioned response, a pattern, etc. But it's very interesting if you look very deeply. Most people, most of us believe we need to feel guilty or we wouldn't be ethical at some level. That it's fundamentally based in a lack of self-trust. Okay? Well, I've got a question. Who is it that's so ethical? They're willing to create enormous guilt and suffering in order to ensure that they stay ethical. Guilt is actually a reflection of a very deep commitment to ethics. Okay? Now I want to suggest something else. I'm going to put this out as a hypothesis. It's very provocative. We don't have time to get into it. I want to put this out as a hypothesis for you to play with. I want to suggest that guilt is a stage-specifically appropriate emotion, by which I mean that when you're 5 years old or so, it may be a very useful emotion. okay? But I want to suggest that for anyone who's moving into mature adulthood, guilt may be an unnecessary, unhelpful emotion, okay? That at a certain stage, it may be just unnecessary and painful and destructive, okay? And I want to put that out because it counteracts the belief that we need guilt. And I guarantee you, as long as you believe you need guilt, you'll have it.